Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. And I thought I'd do a video talking about my 5 favorite TV shows and 5 worst TV shows that I've seen this year. I try to cover all the big TV shows that come out, especially on streaming, because I do watch a lot on Disney Plus, HBO Max, Amazon, Netflix are kind of the main streaming services that I watch. So I try to cover as many shows as I can. I can't say I got to all of them, but hopefully I got to enough of them. And I can give you some really good recommendations here on Jason the Old Millennial. Hello everybody, hope everybody's doing well here on a Sunday afternoon. Doing pretty good. The Chiefs just won again, so just got done watching them, so go Chiefs. 13-1 on the season, almost got a 1 seed, hopefully in the playoffs. So it's good year to be a Chiefs fan yet again. But let's get to the topic, which is TV shows. Yeah, I do love watching a good TV show. I watch movies, of course. I watch documentaries. I watch stand-up comedies. I try to catch everything I can. Obviously, I can't catch everything. Besides, watching all these YouTube videos and reading books and, work and all that. So can't fit everything in, but hopefully I got some shows here that if you haven't seen, hopefully you'll watch them on my recommendation, or you'll agree with me. You might disagree with me on some of these shows I did not like, but some of these hopefully you'll agree with me as well. So yeah, let's get to the 5 worst shows of the season for me. And saying that, I did not watch Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power Season 2, because Season 1 was so bad. Amazon has done some really bad TV shows with Lord of the Rings, or the Rings of Power, I should say, and The Wheel of Time have been some horrible fantasy series at Amazon, and totally ruined 2 fantasy books, basically, on those. Maybe not Lord of the Rings, but definitely Wheel of Time totally ruined that book series, which is a great book series. But they do have some good TV shows as well, though. So they kind of go back and forth. They're kind of hit or miss on Amazon. But I didn't watch Rings of Power because I heard that's a terrible season. I thought Season 1 was so bad. It was so boring. So I was like, I didn't really want to try to watch a really boring second season of Rings of Power. That's terrible. So I missed out on that one, which might have been on my top 5 worst shows if I did watch it. But personally, did not want to watch that. I didn't watch Agatha all along. Again, it didn't look interesting to me, and Disney Plus has done really, as you'll see, almost all of the shows, the worst shows on my list are off of Disney Plus. Disney Plus did a really bad job with TV shows. They made some of the worst ones, in my opinion. I don't know, Disney is just, they did some good things this year, but they've done some really bad. They've been, again, really disappointing studio this year. Put out some terrible material. So yeah, Agatha Long, I don't know. I haven't heard some good things, some bad things. I don't know. It didn't look that interesting to me, so I didn't catch that one as well. But anyway, so yeah, let's get to top 5 worst TV shows of the year that I watched. Number 5, I have Tales of the Empire by Disney Plus. Now, this isn't necessarily like a terrible show. It's kind of playing off, I think they did Tales of the Jedi a year ago or so, and Tales of the Jedi was really good. Like, that was actually one of my favorite shows. I say it's a show. It's hard to say it's a show. It's only like 6 episodes long, and it's kind of telling the story. It tells like 2 different maybe character stories in 3 episode stints. And this does the same thing. Tales of the Empire. It tells like 3 episodes on like, I think it's on this one character named Morgan something, who appears in Mandalorian season 2, I want to say, and also she appears in the Ahsoka TV show season 1. So they kind of do a backstory on her, why she kind of became evil. I don't know. I was not interested in like, and again, Tales of the Empire. It's about like her, and then I forget the second story is about a Jedi that turned, I think, a Sith, anyways, and tells that story. I don't know. I'm not as interested in hearing the backstories of villains as much as the heroes, like in Tales of the Jedi, I would say. Except for Tales of the Jedi, does tell a really good story on Count Dooku. So I guess I can't say that, but I don't know. I put it at number 5 because just I haven't seen that many TV shows really, and something had to go here at number 5. So I put this here. It's not like the horrible show, but I just remember being like not that interested in the show and kind of bored with it, and didn't really make much of an impact. So I put it here at number 5, Tales of the Empire on Disney Plus. Number 4, I've got the Umbrella Academy, which came on Netflix. And this was the final season of the Umbrella Academy, I think season 4 or something like that. There's like only 4 seasons. The only thing is, though, it took forever to get this 4th season out. I feel like it took 2 years or more to get this out. So I wish they would have done these a little quicker, and we only got 4 seasons, so we didn't get that much of the show. And I would say the first season was just okay. Definitely the ending was pretty good when we got towards the ending. The characters, establishing the characters, I liked some of the characters that they established there. Wasn't super crazy about first season, but second season I thought was actually pretty good. I thought that definitely a big improvement. Season 3, I really like season 3 of Umbrella Academy. That's definitely my favorite season, and really one of my favorite seasons of television, shows. Like, it was one of my favorite that year. So I was kind of hyped up for season 4. So I thought, man, they're really getting better with each season. Again, it's the characters. I love the characters that they have. I love Gunther's my favorite character there, but 6 is great. And I'm not going to remember everybody's, but a lot of the characters are really great. There's some characters I really don't like. But mostly, and the stories are very interesting. There's some good action sequences. It's very funny, and it's really out there. It's a sci-fi. It's kind of a sci-fi show, so there were some really out there ideas, and it's really quirky at times, and so I like that about it. Season 4, though, it really definitely started very slow at the beginning, where it was not that interesting. It picked up, though, in the middle, where it got a lot better, I think, and there were some good moments in the show. Again, I think Diego and Gunther or whatever, they had some good moments together. They had one really good action sequence. Yeah, and there's some okay storylines in there. What really hurts the show, though, and I put it in here in my bottom 5, which I didn't like, is I really hated the ending. The ending was so bad. It killed the whole series. I mean, I can't even recommend watching Umbrella Academy to anybody, because the 4th season, which is the last season, just totally made the whole show pointless. I felt like what happens there, and I kind of revealed it when I reviewed it, but I won't reveal it here. But what happens, just very unsatisfying, and that's the only problem when you have your last season. You really need to stick the landing, and this did not stick the landing for me. So it's number 4 on the worst shows of the season, or on the year. Number 3, I got Echo from Disney Plus. Yeah, and this is one we all kind of knew was probably not going to be very good, because you took a character, Echo, who was a side character off of Hawkeye season 1, which I actually really like. Hawkeye season 1. Hawkeye season 1 is the best show I think Marvel has done on Disney Plus so far. I haven't been a big fan of all the Marvel stuff, to be honest. There's only a couple Marvel properties that I've enjoyed. And so Echo was a kind of a side character, this hit girl who was deaf and also had one leg. Very interesting character. Good action sequences with her, and she was an interesting character, I think, in Hawkeye. But nobody thought she really needed her own series. I remember when they first announced that, like, Echo's getting her own series, everybody was like, "Why Echo?" It didn't really make much sense. Like, she's the villain, one of the villains in Hawkeye, and now we're going to make a whole show around her. A girl that can't really talk. She's deaf, and so she does sign languages the whole time. So it didn't seem like a good idea to begin with. And plus, the main actress is like her first time acting, so she's not really that good of an actress. And you put a whole series around her. And of course, it's Disney Plus. And nowadays, it seems like back in the day, TV shows used to have like 24 episodes a season. I mean, you used to have 24 every season. And nowadays, I remember we got down to like only maybe 10 episodes a season, which kind of still works. But it's like, wow, they really lowered the standards of how many shows you have a season, how you develop characters and over time, and how much writing you have to do. But then a lot of shows nowadays have bigger budgets, so maybe that's why. And then I see shows that only have 8 seasons, and you're like, oh, wow, they're going from 10 to 8. Like, they're really... And then you get episodes or seasons that are only 6 now. Echo was one of those that only got like 6 episodes, and you're like, wow, like they only had six. Like that's barely anything to develop a character and a whole plot of a whole TV show. Anyway, so it seems like when you give a show only 6 episodes, you don't really believe in the show, anyways. And it feels like Echo is one of those shows I'm sure they didn't believe in after they made it. And to be honest, I thought the first couple episodes actually were pretty good. I was enjoying the action sequences. I thought, of course, the big sequence in the first episode was Echo had a fight scene with Daredevil, which actually was a pretty cool fight scene. I actually quite enjoyed it. And I'm excited for Daredevil. Daredevil was supposed to come out this last year, but they delayed it because they had to do a bunch of rewrites and they basically had to reshoot the whole show. So they're having problems with Daredevil, and that should be coming out next year, which I'm excited to see that. Hopefully they don't screw that up because the Netflix Daredevil show was really good. But anyways, Echo, yeah, so the first 2 episodes, like, yeah, there's some pretty cool stuff, some good action sequences. I'm enjoying things here and there. But then about halfway through the season, and then we introduced Kingpin again, which it seems like, how did he survive? He got like shot through the eye in Hawkeye, and he's a great villain. He's like one of the best Marvel villains, I think, especially lately. So I would definitely want more Kingpin and Daredevil. I know we're gonna give him Daredevil, but I'm like, yeah, let's forget that he was in this show and just concentrate on him being in Daredevil as the main villain. Yeah, he shows up and he's great. I think Vincent D'Onofrio, I think, was great again. But I don't know, something happened about halfway through the season where it's like, I don't know, it just got kind of boring and tiring. And the last show was not very good. I think it really ended very badly. I hated what they did with Kingpin. I thought that was such a great villain character, and the way they dealt with him was stupid, I thought. And I don't know, the character just, and the whole story just wasn't that interesting towards the end. And then we had this moment where she the whole thing is she calls on like her ancestors. She's Native American, so it's just like she's calling on the power of her ancestors to make her superpowered, because she's not a superpowered person at all, but she gets superpowers at the end because of her ancestry. You know, she has all these superpowered ancestors. And not only she gets powers, but I think everybody in her family gets superpowers. So you have this stupid moment where they all have superpowers and they all fight the bad guys. Anyways, so yeah, I really hated how they ended this. And overall, it's like only 6 episodes and it really wasn't much to talk about, to be honest. So that's why I put Echo here at number 3. Number 2, this is me the surprise. People like the show. I couldn't stand it. That was X-Men 97, which was another Disney Plus Marvel show. It's an animated cartoon. And to be honest, I'm not so crazy about watching cartoons anymore as far as TV shows go. I do love animated movies, and I still watch those and get a lot out of them. But I feel like lately, not everything, but maybe it just depends on what the property is, but it feels like every once in a while they put out a TV show and I watch it and I just can't get into cartoons as much as I used to when I was younger. But anyways, it's interesting because X-Men 97 is animated like the 90s X-Men show was. And I was a huge fan of the X-Men animated series. I mean, yeah, that's why I got into X-Men, is watching that cartoon series when I was a kid in the early 90s. And so it was kind of a cool idea, or mid 90s or wherever it came out. So it's kind of a cool idea to do something retro like this, I guess. And it's called 97 because it's supposed to be, looks like it was animated in 97. They do that old animation style. But for me, watching it, like, I didn't understand what was going on pretty much the whole time. Almost the whole time, I was like, it's a very complicated like storyline with Jean Grey has like a clone or something, and I forget the name of the villain, but some really weird stuff happens. It's very dark. It's very weird at times. It didn't have the fun that the old TV show had, I thought. And again, I was just so confused throughout the whole show. Like, I didn't get what was going on at all, and I was getting confused about what characters are doing what, and the storyline was getting just so complicated, and I just was so bored. I mean, to be honest, I was just bored out of my tears on the show. That's why it's number 2 on my list. I thought it was terrible. And again, I think a lot of people like the show. It's it's going to appear on a lot of top 5 favorite TV shows, probably on a lot of people's lists. But for me, I couldn't get into it. And again, it's a cartoon, so I couldn't get into the cartoon part of it. Couldn't get into the storylines. It just didn't feel the same to me as when I was a kid anyway. So yeah, number 2 for me, X-Men 97, might be a surprise. Number 1 shouldn't be a surprise. It is definitely one of the worst shows I've ever seen in my life, and that is Acolyte. Acolyte on Disney Plus. Star Wars, what are you doing? Like, Star Wars has just been so terrible. They really screwed up Star Wars, and Star Wars is such a Star Wars movies are, some of my favorite movies of all time. And Disney Plus has taken Star Wars and just ran it into the ground every year. And this is even worse. Acolyte might be the worst show they've ever done, and they've done some of the worst shows I've ever seen. Obi-Wan Kenobi was horrible. Ahsoka wasn't very good as well. The Bad Batch is just okay. I'm not super crazy about the Bad Batch. They had a season 3, and I didn't even watch it because I thought season 2 was just so boring. I'm trying to think of more bad shows. I'm sure there's more I'm not even thinking of, but those are the ones I think of on top of my mind. Obi-Wan Kenobi and Ahsoka and this one. Yeah, I don't know why they can't come up with a good... The Mandalorian is good. I'll say, like, Mandalorian's like the one, like, good show that they've done. And I even like I actually liked the Book of Boba Fett. I thought actually it was actually pretty good. That's because Mandalorian was in it and Baby Yoda was in it as well. But outside of that, man, they've done some really bad shows. And it's like they don't know how to write. They don't know how to act. Like, they pick some of the worst actors to star in these shows, it feels like. And then the writing is just... Really, the writing is what's really bad. I think it's just Disney just hires the worst writers and a bad showrunner. I know the lady that show ran Acolyte, and Acolyte's not getting season 2. Hopefully they fire that lady. I'm forgetting her name right now, but hopefully they fire her and she never makes another show because she did such a horrible job. And it's so stupid because she's like used to be the assistant to Harvey Weinstein. So, I mean, that's a bad history there. So she was around when he was sexually assaulting all these women and she didn't do anything about it. So it's like, why did she even get the chance to run a show? It's just beyond me. And then she does, and she obviously doesn't know how to run a TV show because she did a horrible job with it. And the main actress they cast, Amanda Seyfried, or not Seyfried, that's another, Amanda, whatever her name, Steinberg or whatever, terrible job acting. She was the main character of the show. And a lot of it's the character was terrible too. And there's 2 of them. There's these twin girls that throughout the show. The twist was really bad. I thought it didn't make any sense. And the ending was just so bad. I mean, it's one of the worst endings to a show I've ever seen. And I hate when they do it with the Saul character. I did like Saul. Saul was a good character and best character in the show. And I thought the actor who played him did a good job. Actually, as like this older Jedi, really wise that trained the main Jedi girl. And there could have been an interesting storyline in there. But they did him dirty, man. What they did to him, they totally assassinated his character at the end. And the fact that they had the main girl turn kind of evil, and the evil girl in the show they like unite, and it's like, oh, that's not what I wanted. And the main girl I thought was supposed to be good, and then she becomes evil, and it sounds like she's still the main character, and I'm still supposed to like her. And I'm like, why would I like a girl who's evil? Like, it made no sense what they were doing. And that's not the way you do a TV show. And the way they ended on a cliffhanger, I guess. But I'm like, I'm not interested in the second season. It was done so badly. And like I said, what they did to Saul was criminal. It was criminal what they did to the Saul character. Saul was a good character. He did things the right way. I thought he was morally, they acted like he was, had this deep secret that he kept. But it's like, no, he had a good reason, and he was morally good character. And then that's what they did to him. It's like, come on. Now, the villain actually was pretty good. I will say, like, the main villain character, who I'm not forgetting the name of, but he did a good job. And there was one good episode in this season where it was a very action-packed episode. And I love lightsaber fights, and there were some really good lightsaber fights in, like, episode 4 or 5, I think. But we also got one of the worst episodes with the girls becoming witches, and we got the worst song of all time, the power of 1, the power of 2, the power of many. Like, oh, that whole scene was so cringy. It was just one of the worst moments in television. Yeah, what can I say? The Acolyte, yeah, you can die and never come back. Please don't never come back, The Acolyte. Yeah, it was so terrible writing. Disney doesn't know how to write. They don't hire good writers. And I'm sure it's because they're like, we got to hire diverse writers from diverse perspectives. And it's like, no, just get good writers. And yeah, because I'll get to my top 5 TV shows. There are good writers out there. It's like, I want to say, anybody who was on Acolyte, watch these 5 shows. This is how you write a TV show. So let's get to my top 5 favorite TV shows. Number 5, I'm going with House of the Dragon on season 2 on HBO Max. I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan. Been watching that a couple times now, and can't get over how that's just perfectly written show, acted, production value, all amazing. House of the Dragon is not nearly as good as Game of Thrones. It's a big step down from Game of Thrones, but you still get some, it's still in that universe, so I like that. Still, the production value is really good. The special effects, the dragons, and all that, and the costuming, and set designs, and all the sets and the scenes or the set locations are great. And that's definitely a highlight of the show. The story itself is not great. It's just okay. The characters are fine. There's not a lot of great characters here that I'm too, compared to Game of Thrones, I guess. Game of Thrones had just so many characters I loved. This, not so much. It's just, the characters are just okay. One of the big problems of this season was, and I'm forgetting names now, but the main girl, I think her name is Rhaegar, I believe, or something like that. And she's like trying to be queen, Westeros, and she's fighting, her friend slash sister-in-law or stepsister, or whatever you call it. In-law, because her best friend married her dad, and her son is the king, Westeros, and anyway, so her uncle slash husband, it gets confusing because all the family members marry each other in the show. But he's like one of the most interesting characters in the show. And he goes off to Harrenhal and spends a whole season talking to ghosts. And it's like, we thought maybe you had one episode where you're in Harrenhal talking to ghosts, but no, it's like the whole season. And it's like, okay, I'm getting tired. And the show seemed like it was short. I think it was like only 8 episodes long, and they're usually 10. And definitely felt like if the first season felt like it was like all about, all right, we're setting the table for this big war that's happening. And so when we get to season 2, we're like, all right, now we're at war. These 2 groups are at war for trying to get ahead of Westeros. So you just assume there's going to be a lot of battle scenes, or there's going to be like one big battle scene or something. And we're going to get some interesting dynamics and some crucial deaths and stuff like that. And we do get some crucial deaths in here. But not enough. I feel like this is a bit of a disappointment. And everybody I've heard talk about the show, I think, are disappointed because it felt like we're ready for a big battle. And if at the very end of episode 8, it felt like, okay, we're ready to go to war. And it's like, I thought that's the whole purpose of season 1 is to establish we're going to go to war. And now season 2 is like, we're still waiting to go to war. And it's like, when are we going to actually go to war and have battles? We did have one really good battle sequence. There was one with 3 dragons fighting each other. And that was definitely the best scene or best episode in the show, I think, because it was fun seeing the dragon fights and all that, and the battle scenes. So we got one, and there's some, a crucial death in there, and someone else that got really injured. So it's definitely some interesting things happened. Effects happened. Cause and effect from that, and that definitely changed the show a little bit. Besides that, it was. And again, there's a couple interesting moments here and there. It's like I still have my top 5 shows because I still like the Game of Thrones universe. And I still like, the style of the show. And so it still makes it my top 5 TV shows. I still give it a light recommend. It's, again, a little weaker than season 1 even. And season 1 wasn't great, but it had some really great moments in it. This was just like, it's okay. I'm still waiting for something big to happen, and it never happened at the end. So I feel like they're just stalling for more. They're just, stalling for more seasons. Like, we're trying to get as many seasons out of this plot as we can. So we just got to stall it until, till the end. Then we'll get the big fight scene. But anyways, I still have House of Dragon here at number 5 on my list. Number 4, I've got What If season 2 from Disney Plus. Yes, here's one Disney Plus show that I really liked. I really bagged on a lot of the Disney Plus stuff. It's been really terrible. But the What If series has actually been one of my favorite series that Disney Plus has done. And Marvel, it's one of the best things Marvel has done on Disney Plus, in my opinion. Season 1 I thought was really good, and I thought season 2 of What If was really good as well. I might say I like season 1 maybe slightly better, but season 2 still good. I love the whole concept of what if things happen differently, and we're looking at different multiverses and saying, in this multiverse, this happens. That didn't happen in the, the regular universe that we, watch, I guess, on the movies. And so you get some really cool ideas and concepts, and characters do different things. And I love that because you love the Marvel characters, and I love the different settings and some really, really interesting ideas even this season. And I do like, again, the finale was great. They brought in a lot of different characters throughout this show. Plus, they brought characters from season 1 in. I love that we get all these different characters that we've met during season 1 and season 2, and we put them all together in a big fight scene at the end of this season. And we even bring back like the evil Doctor Strange. He's kind of becomes the main villain of the show, and he's a great main villain, the evil Doctor Strange, whatever. And so I like that, and how he can, bring people through the portals, so that's a really good use of getting all these characters together. And yeah, really good final episode. A lot of great battle scenes. I love what they're doing with the Black Widow and Captain Carter, doing some really good stuff with those characters that they kind of introduced, especially Captain Carter they introduced in the first season, and they're still doing great stuff with that character as well. Yeah, for me, and I love the more comedic. I love the more comedic episodes, to be honest. Even more there's a couple episodes I really didn't like that were just really boring, but episodes that are more comedic, I would say, are my favorite. Like my favorite probably is the one. There's a Christmas episode that I thought was really good this season with Happy Hogan. He's kind of alone at Stark's Tower, I think, and there's that one assistant girl that's with him who's really funny as well. But anyways, he's kind of there at Stark's Tower. All the Avengers are out doing Christmas stuff, and then they get it's almost like a Die Hard. It's almost like it kind of almost ripped off a Die Hard in a bit, because the building gets attacked by Justin Hammer, who is a villain from Iron Man 2. He comes in with his goons and kind of takes over Stark's Tower, and Happy Hogan has to figure out a way to fight them back. So it's kind of a Die Hard type situation. Justin Hammer, great villain character. I always thought he should come back. I thought he was great in Iron Man 2. I forget the names of the actor. I really like the actor who played Justin Hammer. I always thought they should bring him back because he's not dead. He just goes to jail at the end of like Iron Man 2. But I thought that's such a fun character, villainous character, that I was like, man, they should bring him back. He's still alive. And I still kind of hope they could bring him back. But it was great to see him here, at least in this episode, and go, oh, good. We get a really good Justin Hammer episode as a villain anyway. So that was great. And it was a really funny episode. If you haven't seen it, definitely watch that episode. I also like the episode where Tony Stark goes to that planet where Thor goes into, in Thor Ragnarok, and Jeff Goldblum plays the leader, who kind of like this dictator, and he likes to put on these fights between between Thor and the Hulk, and he likes to put on these entertainment fights and stuff and all that. Anyways, so Tony Stark's there, and he has to, and I'm trying to remember the episode exactly, but it's another pretty funny episode. But he has to compete against the leader in a car race, and so he has to make his own car, and of course the leader's cheating, and Valkyrie's in it as well. Anyways, it's a really good episode as well. Also, there was a cool episode where they go back in medieval times, like almost like Robin Hood times. And so it's kind of cool to see some of the Avengers in the Robin Hood kind of era. That was really cool to see, really cool ideas there. Also liked a lot of stuff to like about the show. Like I said, definitely very underrated, I think, show that people don't talk about enough of is the What If series. I was trying to think, what was another episode I really enjoyed. Now I'm forgetting the episode, but there's another one that I really liked out of this season. Again, I don't know, there might have been like 8 episodes in total, if I remember right. Gosh, I wish I can remember it. But anyways, definitely check out What If Season 2. If you haven't seen Season 1, watch Season 1, watch Season 2. Some really good stuff out of this show as well. Anyways, I love how they tie all the storylines together as well. They do a good job anyway. So yeah, What If, number 4 on here. Number 3, I have Fallout from Amazon. I believe it was an Amazon show. This was kind of a big show that was talked about a lot, and I really enjoyed it. And it's based off of a video game series that I've never played. Don't really know much about the video game. I've heard of it. But no, I thought this was a really fun show. And I love the whole concept of it's a nuclear holocaust, and it's like like almost like 100 years later after this whole nuclear war happened, and there's this society that lives underground in these bunkers, and they've survived, but then there's also people that survived on the outs, but it's really bad. On ground level, I guess you can say, the surface. There's definitely some monsters that have been developed over the nuclear holocaust and all this. Anyway, so it's definitely got a very interesting story, the world building. And yeah, so much good. I think the best part of the show is Walter Goggins as the ghoul. What a great character. He's a very nasty character, yet I like him. He's not nice to even the good guys and stuff like that. He does some bad things and some morally questionable things. But then at times you think maybe he'll make a morally good decision here and there. So he's not totally bad. He's like a almost bad guy, but he has like his own mission that he's on his own. And he's just a fun character overall. Great prosthetic work, great makeup work on him. And Walter Goggins is just so good at chewing scenery. I thought he to me should win an Emmy or Golden Globe for Best Actor in a TV show. I think he's so good. Also like the main girl. The main girl is very fun because she plays this very naive girl who's lived her whole life in the bunker and she's never been on the outside world. And so she's going through the outside world and she's very naive about evil and about not trusting people. And so she kind of learns through the series that, yeah, people are evil and you can't trust them anyway. So I thought she was great. And she does the okie dokie. It's kind of fun. She's a real fun character to follow. Yeah, it's a show that has some good action sequences. Very well shot. Storyline has a lot of good twists in it throughout the show. And it's also very funny at times. So it's one of the shows that really hits all the things I like about TV. And yeah, interested in seeing season 2. Hopefully they keep that going. So Fallout at season 3, or Fallout at number 3 on my list. Number 2, I ended up putting a Cobra Kai on at number 2 on my list. Coming, of course, out of Netflix. And this is one of my favorite TV shows of all time right now. So you might be thinking, why do I put it number 2? Well, it's actually not. The season's still going. There's been 10 episodes this year, and there's going to be 5 episodes, I think, at the beginning of next year to finish out the series. This is also the season finale, or the season finale. I think it's the sixth season in the show. And man, I've been a big fan of the show from day one. Love these characters, love the whole idea of the show. And again, this season's been still pretty solid overall. It's all about the Sakai Takai tournament, which they get into in season 6 or episode 6 through 10 is all about the Sakai Takai tournament. But again, you got all these great characters and then they introduce other characters, some good villainous characters. Of course, you bring back, some of the best villains of the show on here in the second half. And what do you say? It's still got that great, great characters. It's also, it does everything. It can be very dramatic at moments. There's actually a couple moments I cried in the show, especially Peyton List, who plays Tori, I believe. She's the MVP of the season. She's had some of the great emotional moments of the show. I love what they're doing with that character. Anyways, so yeah, there's some good emotional moments. There's some very silly, funny moments, which I really love about the show. It definitely a show that makes me laugh quite a bit. And even at times it's maybe over the top silly, but yeah, I kind of like it. And even some of the action sequences are a little over the top, but I kind of like it for that. The over the top action, it's very unrealistic to real life, but yet it's the fun of the show. I think it's a very fun show. And yeah, the action sequences are really well choreographed. Like they do such a good job of choreographing these fight scenes. And so it's a show that probably one of the best shows I've ever seen as far as karate fight scenes or any martial arts fighting on TV. I think they do such a good job. And they did a good job on this, especially the episode 10 where they have a big brawl at the Sakai tournament where all the karate teams get into this big brawl at the end. Rewatching that recently, man, that was so well choreographed and edited, and how they had these different characters are going at each other for the first time, and they all have grudges to meet on the floor, in karate style. And yeah, so that was great seeing all these different characters fight at the end and how they kind of went through all the different characters. So many great characters. it's crazy how many characters that they fit on the show, and they all get their good moments and good character arcs and all that. So yeah, still a very fun show. Still definitely excited to get to the end of this. Sad that it's going to end though, because man, I could watch the show for many more seasons. Cobra Kai #2 on my list. #1 though, man, another show that I think is underrated that more people need to watch, and that is Jack Reacher. That's on Amazon. This is season 2 of Jack Reacher, and season 1 was so good. I was so amazed by because I thought like, oh, this could be okay, and then I watched it, I was like, wow, this is amazing. Season 2 just as good as season 1. Still one of the best shows I've ever seen. And like I said, 2 seasons in, this is like one of the great shows I think, and I hope to see more. I think they're doing season 3. Just keep this show going, and definitely if you haven't checked out Jack Reacher, definitely check out Jack Reacher. This is how you write a TV show. Like again, it's only maybe 8 episodes long, and yet every episode is interesting and not boring at all. None of them are filler episodes. Every episode has something important happen, some kind of twist or some whatever that keeps you interested in the next episode. At the end of each episode, you're like, oh my gosh, I want to see the next episode. Something crazy happened, and that's great TV writing. Is when you can end every show going, can't wait for the next episode. And just filling every episode with important stuff. And again, it's a show that it's a very interesting plot. There's this season, and it even gets into Jack Reacher's past. It goes back and forth between his past and his current, which I thought was really cool. And we see him when he was in the army and how he had like this special unit that he got to lead, and they kind of go through stuff that they did and how that ties in with the current story. I thought it was really well, because the current story is he teams up with some of his old comrades because one of them was found dead, and so they think someone's out to kill the people of that unit. And so the ones that are still alive are getting together and trying to figure out the mystery. So it's a really good mystery behind who the bad guy is and why he's trying to kill them and how it ties into the past. I thought that was really well done. And story-wise, yeah, it's just a great story, a lot of great plot lines. It's a very good action. I mean, the action in this show is as good as anything you've ever seen in movies. Like, this is movie quality action sequences, shootouts, hand-to-hand fighting. Jack Reacher is such a great, I can't remember the name of the actor. The actor who plays Jack Reacher is so good because he's 6'5" and he is jacked. And so you really believe it. When he hits people, you trust that he's really knocking people out. Because like I would not want to go one-on-one with that guy. He is so huge. So I love that about that guy. That man, you really feel he could take anybody on. And you just love the fact that he's just not afraid of anybody, because he's a big jack guy and he's not afraid of any fight or any situation, and he knows it, and he kind of uses it to be like, you don't want to fight me, like. And so I love that about the character. It's such a great character. He's very kind of quiet, very kind of stern character, but he can be funny too at times. Yeah, just a really great written character. And like I said, action sequences are just top notch. And it is funny at times though. It's not known for its comedy as much, but there's some good one-liners. Like he'll kill somebody and then he'll give a good one-liner every once in a while. And so the writing is just so good, dialogue-wise, story-wise. Acting is just really good as well. I don't know what more to say. It's just, for me, one of the best shows I've ever seen. And I want to say, like I said, Acolyte. Like, this is how you write 8 episodes. Acolyte had like 3 or 4 episodes, which it felt like nothing happened. It felt like filler episodes where you felt like I didn't learn anything about the characters. Nothing interesting happened during the show or during the episode. Or we get like flashbacks, which were very boring and really, stalled the momentum of the show. Because I actually thought Acolyte, the first 2 episodes were actually pretty good. And then about 3rd episode on, it was like, wow, it just got really bad. But Jack Reacher, it's like, this is how you write a show. Each episode is interesting. It got really good storylines, are important to the whole story. There's no filler. You just make every second count. And that's how you write a show. Jack Reacher on Amazon. I would say Jack Reacher and Cobra Kai. It's like, man, those are top-notch writers in my opinion, and have been some of my favorite shows so far watching. Anyway, so that's my top 5 favorite TV shows and top worst TV shows of the year. So please feel free to comment if you've seen these TV shows. Do you like them? Did you hate them? I'd love to read any comments, what you thought, and what were some shows I missed. I know I didn't watch The Penguin. I know people say Penguin's really good. I saw like 1 episode and I thought it was really boring, so I'm not really interested in The Penguin, but I'll probably try to watch it at some point. And then there's non, streaming shows that I haven't checked out, like The Bear, Shogun. I've heard is really good, and maybe I'll check that out at some point. But there's just so many TV shows to try to catch up with, and I try to catch the big ones on streaming if I can. So those are the ones I saw anyway. So yeah, comment on what you thought. And besides that, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for liking it. And just thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate you all. Hope you have a good day.